So imagine being able to invest in a company like ChatGPT, right? But before it even hits the stock market, that's the opportunity many investors are now watching right now. Because according to the new Reuters report, OpenAI, the same company transforming the use of artificial intelligence, is preparing for a massive IPO that could value it up to $1 trillion. So if this happens, it would instantly become one of the most valuable companies in history, rivaling Microsoft, Apple, and Nvidia. So in this video, I'm going to show you how exactly US investors can gain exposure, or get exposure rather, to OpenAI before the IPO, step by step. So because the company really defines the next decade of technology, getting in early could be one of the smartest investment decisions of our time. So let's jump right in. So OpenAI, the company behind ChatGPT, is gearing up for one of the biggest IPOs in history, potentially reaching a $1 trillion valuation according to Reuters. Now, in this video, I'm going to show you how to invest in OpenAI before the IPO happens. And I'm going to walk you through the company, the latest IPO updates, and 5 actionable steps that US investors like myself and yourself can take to gain early exposure. All right, so this could be one of the once in a generation moment and lifetime opportunity. OpenAI anticipated 2027 IPO that could raise $60 billion and value the company at $1 trillion. That would surpass previous records set by Facebook and Alibaba. Investors want in because OpenAI's technology, from ChatGPT to ChatGPT-5, is shaping the future of how humans and machines interact. Now, if the history repeats itself, early exposure here could mirror the gains seen by investors who bet early on companies like Microsoft or Google. Now, OpenAI was founded in 2015 by Sam Altman, Elon Musk, and Greg Brockman, and others, right? It began as a nonprofit focused on building safe artificial intelligence for humanity. Now, over time, it transitioned to a capped profit model, meaning investors can earn returns, but profits are limited to preserve its mission. Microsoft is now OpenAI's largest backer, holding around 49% of the company's for-profit arm. Tools like ChatGPT, DALL, and Whisper are used globally across industries, education, and enterprises. Recently, Reuters reported that OpenAI is preparing for a 2027 IPO. Now, the company is expected to file in late 2026 and could raise at least $60 billion, like I mentioned earlier, aiming for a $1 trillion valuation. And OpenAI's major investors include Microsoft, SoftBank, and Abu Dhabi's MGX. Now, financially, it generated $4.3 billion in revenue during the first half of the 2025, but also reported a $13.5 billion loss due to heavy infrastructure investments in chips and data centers. Now, this kind of aggressive expansion shows how OpenAI is building the backbone of the global AI industry. So OpenAI stock isn't publicly traded yet. There are 3 main ways to gain exposure. First, buy Microsoft stock, since Microsoft owns almost half of OpenAI. Second, explore pre-IPO investment platforms like EquityZen, Forge Global, or InvestX, or others where accredited investors can buy secondary shares. And third, monitor AI-focused ETFs and venture funds that might hold indirect OpenAI exposure. Now, these options help investors position themselves before the company goes public. Now, pre-IPO investing means purchasing shares before a company lists on the stock market. Platforms like EquityZen and others, like I mentioned earlier, right? Like such as early employees or venture funds with buyers. However, these opportunities are typically restricted to accredited investors who earn over $200,000 a year or hold at least $1 million in net worth. While it's not for everyone, it's the most direct way to invest early in companies like OpenAI. Before investing, research OpenAI's financial background. Websites like Crunchbase, for example, provides data on OpenAI's funding rounds, investor names, and valuation trends. Make sure you do the research. Understand these metrics will help you decide whether secondary shares are worth their premium. The current private valuation is estimated at over $100 billion, and the company is targeting $1 trillion by the time of its IPO. Next step is, of course, for most US investors, the simplest and safest strategy is to invest through Microsoft. Buying MSFT shares gives you indirect exposure to OpenAI's performance. And Microsoft has integrated GPT models into Bing, Copilot for Office, for example, and Azure Cloud Services. As OpenAI's influence grows, Microsoft benefits directly, meaning owning MSFT shares today is like holding a piece of OpenAI's future without the early stage risk. Keep an eye on AI-focused ETFs and SPVs, or special purpose vehicles. Funds like ARK Invest or Global X and Roundhill may launch new AI innovation ETFs when OpenAI announces its IPO. Now, these investment vehicles, for example, are often open to retail investors and can provide diversified exposure to the entire AI sector. This is a great way to benefit from the broader growth of artificial intelligence without buying individual pre-IPO shares. So once OpenAI files its S1 document with the SEC, right, you'll have a short window before trading begins. And here's what to do. Create or verify accounts with brokers like Fidelity, Robinhood, or Charles Schwab, or any others. Enable IPO access if available. Review the company's prospectus carefully for pricing and risks. And then decide whether to buy at listing or wait for post-IPO price stabilization. And preparation is key, by the way, to securing these shares when demand is sky high. Now that we've gone through the last 5 steps, let's look at both sides. First, the upside. OpenAI leads global AI research, has strong enterprise adoption, and is backed by Microsoft's resources. The downside. It's losing billions, operates under a capped profit model, and faces fierce competition from Anthropic and Google DeepMind. Investors should weigh these risks carefully and consider OpenAI a long-term play rather than a quick flip. All right, here's the bigger picture. So a $1 trillion OpenAI IPO would instantly reshape the global tech landscape. It could join the ranks of Apple, Microsoft, and Nvidia as one of the world's largest, most valuable companies. Beyond the IPO itself, this event would fuel new investment in chip makers, data infrastructure, and AI startups. For many analysts, by the way, this IPO symbolizes the maturity of the AI industry, moving from research hype to global commercialization. Now, here's some key takeaways. OpenAI's IPO is expected, as mentioned earlier, in 2027 at a valuation nearly $1 trillion. You can gain exposure today via Microsoft, pre-IPO platforms, or AI ETFs. Definitely use research tools like Crunchbase or others to stay informed. Prepare your brokerage accounts now if you plan to participate in the IPO. In other words, you need to get ready. The AI revolution is accelerating faster than any technological wave before it. And this is your window to get involved early. Finally, some closing thoughts. OpenAI's IPO, for example, could be one of the defining investments events of our time. Whether you invest through Microsoft, ETFs, or wait for the public listing, timing and strategy matters. Invest intelligently, diversify your positions, and stay patient. The future of artificial intelligence isn't on the horizon, it's already here as we know it. And OpenAI is leading the charge. Thanks for watching, and be sure to subscribe for more insights on AI and tech investing. And of course, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. And tell me in comments below as to what your investment strategy would be for this OpenAI. And that's the key part of this video. I hope this helps. Let me know if you have any questions with this. Let's move to the next one.